In today's video, I'm testing how many trophies Lewis Hamilton can win with Ferrari in 4 seasons inside the F1 game. I'm going to be doing 10 race seasons to make the simulations a bit quicker, but I will be showing highlights from the first and last race of every season and updating you on how many trophies Hamilton gets that year. And if he's in a title fight, the last race will be a 25% race to at least get a one-stop strategy. Comment down below right now how many trophies you reckon he'll get by the end of the video and see how close you get by the end. Alright, it's season 1. This is Genesis, the first race for Lewis Hamilton in the Ferrari. He's qualified on the second row alongside his new teammate Leclerc. Verstappen on pole position. Hamilton's old teammate in second place, but it's a cracking start for Hamilton. He's in the toe of the Red Bull. Can he get round the outside to try and book in the second place? Leclerc has actually steamed down the inside. Looks like it might have been 3 wide actually between the two Ferraris and the Mercedes. And right now it's a Ferrari 2-3 as Leclerc also manages to get ahead of Russell. He's actually under pressure from Lando Norris, but no surprise in the first season here. Verstappen is already running away with this first race. You know, this is going to be the first foundational year for Hamilton and Ferrari, kind of building a good foundation to perhaps do more in future seasons. But of course, one thing that can happen immediately is him going up against Leclerc, and that's going to happen on the second last lap of this first Grand Prix as teammates Leclerc with DRS able to overtake Lewis. He has to settle for third place. Can he come back in the last lap? I wonder as we go on to that final lap. Verstappen has walked this Bahrain Grand Prix and the first blood is going to go to Charles Leclerc. Hamilton will have to settle for third place, but it's his first race for the Scuderia. You know, he's getting used to the car and as I said, it's a foundational year. Shock horror, Max Verstappen is going to win this first race of this season, but you know, a double Ferrari podium, that would be a very successful, good starting point for these two as teammates. It would be a great first race for Lewis to start his new Ferrari career off with a podium and try and build on it. But now we're going to move on to the last race of this first season, and unfortunately over the course of the season, the man who replaced Lewis Hamilton at Mercedes, Alexander Albon in this case, in this simulation of ours, is on pole position for the final race, and he's second place in the championship. Verstappen is leading the championship by some margin, but yeah, the next best person in the championship is the man who replaced Lewis at Mercedes, Alexander Albon in this case. Leclerc is in third place in the championship. Hamilton, he's down even lower than Russell, his old teammate from the Silver Arrows. So, you know, maybe not the most unbelievable first season here for Lewis, but he has managed to get 1 race win this season. You can see on the results there on the top right. And in this final race, well, let's see what he can do. Leclerc third place, Hamilton 5th, and well, Mercedes clearly quite amazing in this last part of the season as they're 1-2 right now. So Verstappen, I think he's comfortably actually already secured the championship at this point. He's down in P14, so maybe Red Bull and him are having a holiday in this final race basically. But yeah, very awkward really to end this first year with Ferrari for Hamilton, seeing his old team have a 1-2 right now in the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. He's lower than his old teammate, but he has got 1 win for Ferrari. That surely has got to have been quite special for him in the first year. And shock horror, it's at the Canadian Grand Prix, which has always been a very happy hunting ground for Hamilton. Both him and Leclerc have got a win so far in this season, and both have also got onto multiple different podiums, so it's still a pretty solid first year of their partnership. You know, as even in this simulation, we know in the F1 game, the AI drivers do actually have to take some time to get used to a new team when they transfer. So in this simulation, kind of like real life, maybe it will take another year for maybe Lewis to get comfy, but one man who is comfy in the Ferrari already, having been in the team for years, is Leclerc, and he gets into the lead of the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix on the final lap of the race here. Hamilton closing up to his old teammate George Russell, battling Lando Norris in an improving McLaren through this first season of this entire simulation. Hamilton, oh, I thought for a second he was maybe going to try and make it 3 wide, you know, and go around the outside, but instead he's just watching this titanic battle, and he's going to have to just settle for P5, whilst Leclerc actually goes and finishes in first place. That's a bit of a shock and an upset. So Leclerc will finish off this first year with a second win for him. Overall, for Hamilton, he scored 132 points in this season then. 1 race win, 2 second places, and 1 third place. 0 World Championships with Ferrari. But this is only year 1, and we've got plenty more to come up. Into now the second year with the Scuderia, and unfortunately Ferrari have lost some pace, it would seem, over the winter break. Hamilton only qualifies P8. His old team have a front row lockout. Russell leading the way from Alexander Albon. So Mercedes going from strength to strength at the end of the season to this next one, and they are looking pretty damn tidy. But Perez and Red Bull are still there. Verstappen P4, so he's had a bit of a slower start and slower qualifying, but I'm sure he'll ramp up a little bit, and it's a checkerboard of Red Bull and Mercedes. Meanwhile, Hamilton has managed to overtake at least one car to get up into P7, and he's now staring at the back of his teammate Leclerc. But, you know, Gasly up there in P5, a bit surprising. And another surprise is Sergio Perez is the Red Bull that's going for it and actually looking to maybe take the race lead on the last lap of the Grand Prix. This will be for the opening round of year number 2 here. Perez gets into the lead, and he's actually going to win the first race of the season. Very surprising. So Verstappen having won another championship in year 1. Year 2, Perez starts off pretty strong, but you got to say 2 Mercs on the podium. In contrast to the opening year for Hamilton Ferrari, that is a bit lackluster. But we're now going to fast forward to the last race of this season, and in stark contrast to this first race, in the last race, things start off pretty damn well for Lewis Hamilton. He's on pole position for Ferrari at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix as we go to lights out for this final race of this season. But Hamilton, unfortunately, is nowhere near the title fight. In fact, Russell is the one that leads the World Championship, and he's in a title fight with his fellow compatriot Lando Norris, of all people, in McLaren. McLaren had a massive season here in year 2. Big development. You can see Lando Norris and Piastri 2-3 in the Drivers' Championship. Red Bull had a bit of a stinker, having won the first race and the second race, actually, with Verstappen. They really just fell off in terms of consistent results. Other teams outpaced them in terms of R&D, and they're both lower than Hamilton and Ferrari. So that's at least something for Lewis to take some solace in, and he's leading this final race of this season as he tries to get his first and only win of the season, potentially, because he's not won so far in the year. Neither has Leclerc, so both Ferraris without a win. You got to say overall that means really this season is actually more of a failure than the first season. The first season also, you know, taking into account its first year, was pretty solid. But this second year, you feel he's getting comfier with the team. You want to see improvements, but it hasn't really come through for Ferrari. They've been outdeveloped by McLaren. They've been outdeveloped by Mercedes and outdriven by the likes of Russell and Lando Norris. So year 2, overall, you can really class it as a big disappointment for Hamilton and for Ferrari compared to how they began in year 1, and already maybe thoughts on to year 3. But can they end this season at least on a high and try and win the final race to give them momentum through the winter break? Well, Russell, Hamilton's old teammate, just overtaken Hamilton for the race lead. He's leading the championship, so this is gotta hurt a little bit for Lewis, you know, inside the cockpit here, seeing his old teammate going on to probably winning this championship with Mercedes, and he can't even maybe, you know, ruin the day for him a little bit by, you know, denying him the race win. He's trying really hard to. It's actually an absolutely biblical battle between Hamilton and Russell. They're still neck and neck through that entire section as they get to the hotel, but Russell is going to get the elbow out, and he's going to command the race lead back into the final lap, and he's going to go on to win the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. So in Hamilton's second year with Ferrari, it's a winless year. 1 second place, 2 third places. Overall, the entire Ferrari team did not get one single race win. That is bitterly disappointing for them, and they're going to need to regroup. The only solace is Hamilton got that second place in the last race, and maybe there's something there. Maybe there's light at the end of the tunnel. Maybe there's developments coming in the pipeline, but it seems like Mercedes and McLaren are going to be a strong contender next season in year 3. Lewis Hamilton will be hoping it's third time lucky here as he begins another season for Scuderia Ferrari, but unfortunately once again it's not the best first qualifying. He's down in P6. Leclerc at least managed the second row, but it's an abysmal start for Lando Norris, who goes down to P7. Piastri leads the way, and actually both Leclerc and Hamilton actually have a very good start to this race. Hamilton managing to overtake and try and fend off Max Verstappen to get up into P4. Leclerc up to second place, so maybe this might be a season where they just can't qualify well. Maybe the race pace is looking better, or perhaps that's just wishful thinking, to be honest, because as we go on to the last lap of this first Grand Prix, Piastri has dominated this first race of year 3. Russell's overtaken Leclerc. Leclerc, though, under massive pressure from Hamilton, so at least this is maybe one positive for Lewis, that he's putting his teammate under pressure here and almost gets a first podium of this season. But Leclerc manages to hang on as it's nearly half neck and neck as they get to the race line. But Leclerc is the one who gets third place. But Piastri getting first place. It's the first win going to McLaren this season. That is going to be a little bit ominous, because if year 2 was the year of Mercedes really coming up, year 1 was Red Bull, year 3 here was unfortunately the year of McLaren. Papaya dominating things. Piastri and Lando Norris 1-2 in the championship, but there is at least a little glimmer of hope, because in the final race Ferrari lock out the front row. It's a 1-2, Hamilton first, Leclerc second, as it's lights out and we're underway. There's a title fight between the two McLarens, who are third and fourth, and they're actually going to go either side of Leclerc. Look at that in the background there as we're focused on Hamilton, but both McLarens either side pressurizing Leclerc. Norris has got up into second place. Piastri has to stay in fourth place there to checkerboard of Ferrari and McLaren. But on to the last lap of this Grand Prix, Hamilton soaks up the pressure. Leclerc actually gets his head down and re-overtakes, and it's going to be a 1-2 finish for Ferrari in the final race of this season. That is a strong way to end this third year off. You know, McLaren maybe 1-2 in the championship. They've had their own squabble for the driver's title, but it's a good note to end year 3 on. A dominant display. But there needs to be something said about the consistency of this team, because Hamilton ends this third year with 2 wins, but 0 second places and 0 third places. So they maybe got a little bit of raw pace there, but they now need to get more consistent, and they need to be right up there every single time if they want to fight for a world championship going into year 4. But this is a strong marker to end the season off, getting that 1-2. Leclerc able to re-overtake that position he lost, and Hamilton fending off and just controlling the race for first place. So it's another race win to add to his tally in his Ferrari career. You can't complain at that, but we're still searching for that world championship attempt. Could it be finally time in year 4? Well, Ferrari begin this season as they ended the last. It's a 1-2 front row lockout. Leclerc on pole though, Hamilton in second. But it's a cracking start for the Brit versus his teammate, and he soars into the lead of the Bahrain Grand Prix. He's on the medium compounder tyre even as well. He's got the jump on his teammate, but his old teammate from Mercedes is there to try and ruin the party. Esteban Ocon, where has he come from? The Alpine has got up into first place. Hamilton's defended Russell, but where on earth has that Alpine come from in first? The Frenchman leads the way, but it's a decent sign of the beginning of year 4 here for Hamilton and Ferrari to at least be on 1-2 again on the front row. But if they really want to lay down a marker, they have to be winning this race. Hamilton has to be winning this race, especially with his teammate having such a poor start. But this is a bit of a shock. Alpine up here, you know, so far we've had Red Bull being the team in year 1, Mercedes year 2, McLaren year 3. Don't tell me year 4 here is going to be the year of Alpine of all teams. No, Hamilton is going to make sure he starts off the year as he means to go on potentially, as we now go on board and onto the final lap of this first race of the season. He's going to overtake the Frenchman and get into P1, and he's going to control the race from here on out, and he's going to go on to win the Bahrain Grand Prix. Leclerc has to settle for P4. he got stuck. He obviously had that shocking start and then has just got stuck in the traffic. Lewis, a commanding lead and the win for the Bahrain Grand Prix. That is how you do it. You go from winning the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix to now winning the Bahrain Grand Prix. That's what you want over the winter break, building that momentum in. And there's a sense that maybe this is the time for Lewis and Ferrari in this 4th year of this simulation. Especially with a very mixed up order in the top 10. You know, Alpine up there, Mercedes, McLaren, Red Bull still knocking about a little bit. That's maybe going to give Hamilton a better chance to fight for the World Championship. When there are different teams all covering the top 5, that means there's less chance for people to pick up points. And at the same time, as we simulate through this 4th year, Hamilton is far more consistent in this 4th season for Ferrari. He picks up another race win at the Canadian Grand Prix, but someone else who is also becoming very consistent is his teammate Charles Leclerc, who wins the Italian Grand Prix. That energizes him and he goes on a run of winning 3 races in a row. And quite amazingly, guys, I actually can't believe this, but going into the final race of this season, year 4, Leclerc and Hamilton are level on points going into Abu Dhabi. This is actually unbelievable. I could not have wished for a more dramatic ending to this video idea, this simulation of how many wins Hamilton can get. Can he win a championship? Well, in this 4th and final season of this video, we're getting a championship title decider between the 2 Ferrari teammates, and they're level on points going into the final race. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. This is the stuff of dreams. Inject this into my veins. Yep, we've got a title decider on our hands for Hamilton and Leclerc, 137 points each. And so absolutely we're bumping up the distance of this final race to 25% so that we get at least a one-stop strategy going. In the final race, it's a 1-2 for Mercedes, actually, surprisingly. Very odd considering Ferrari's actual raw speed this season. Gasly 3rd, Piastri 4th, Ocon and Verstappen 5 and 6. Hamilton's down in P7 and Leclerc is down in P9, which just adds to the drama. These 2 are level on points and they're lower down, so they're maybe going to be fighting for lower points paying positions. So this is really going to be a very, very tense final race as we go to 5 red lights and we're underway for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. And immediately off the line, Hamilton loses a position. Leclerc's battling Carlos Sainz, his old teammate, who now drives in the Sauber team. He fends him off to stay in P9. Hamilton does get fully overtaken by Verstappen to be pushed down to P8. So both Hamilton and Leclerc having different kind of, past career rivals, maybe getting in the middle of this title fight of theirs, which is an inter-team title fight, which is always way more tense, always very, very awkward. Especially for, the team principal on the pit lane. I mean, if Fred Vasseur is still at the helm of Ferrari here in year 4 in this simulation, I mean, he's going to be tearing out his non-existent hair even more so as Leclerc is right up behind Hamilton. This is it. Whoever beats the other one is going to win a championship for Ferrari, finally, in their 4th year as a partnership as teammates. Leclerc tries to overtake Hamilton into Sector 3. Doesn't work out. Hamilton remains in 8th place, doing some good defensive work. Meanwhile, in all of this, the irony is Hamilton's old team is once again at the forefront. 1-2. Very mixed up grid, I must say, for this final race. Ocon and Gasly in 3 and 4. So Alpine having some real late development. Kind of Noah's Ark, really. It's 2x2. Norris and Piastri 5 and 6. Hamilton, P8, still looking to try and get Verstappen, but also at the same time having to watch his back because Leclerc is all over the back of him and Hamilton clouts the curb. He's a bit slow off that chicane and Leclerc is going to be on the back of him now with DRS, and this potential overtake could be crucial because obviously the lead man will get the onus of pitting first in this race, and Leclerc makes a fantastic move round the outside. What an overtake, and what an important one that could be for the man from Monaco. Up to P8, Hamilton down to P9. As it stands, Leclerc would win the World Championship. Is there anything Lewis can do in the first stint to come back at him? We're going to have to see, but Leclerc looks pretty damn mighty on this first set of tyres, and look at that, Lewis is actually falling backwards, and they both overtaken Verstappen, but Lewis is nowhere near Leclerc. He continues on. Leclerc comes in, so, you know, he's the one leading the two, so he gets the first preferential treatment of pitting first. Hamilton has to continue on for the overcut, so Hamilton will come out probably behind Leclerc, because Leclerc's got that undercut going on a fresh set of medium tyres, and there he is then up in P8. Verstappen has actually jumped Hamilton in the pits because Verstappen pit on the same lap as Leclerc, so Hamilton has got all the work to do. 6 laps to go in this Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, 25% race. All the pit stops are done. It is now all down to Lewis to get his head down if he wants to try and come back and give a fighting chance to his championship hopes. And first of all, he's got to overtake one of his nemesis, Max Verstappen. He's done so. He's up to P8, and now there is a lot of clean air to chase after Leclerc. And the good thing for Hamilton is Leclerc is tucked up behind a lot of traffic of Piastri, Gasly, Norris, all those cars fighting each other, giving each other dirty air, and crucially, Hamilton has gotten away from Verstappen. So Verstappen won't be a bother to Hamilton. So it's going to really be down to, can Leclerc get past this traffic? Lap 11 at the moment does not look likely, as we just watched Gasly going down the inside of Piastri to defend, I think, into the hairpin, to be fair to him. Leclerc is on the back of him, but Hamilton's right there. Leclerc has DRS. Hamilton has DRS. Piastri goes for the move on Gasly. Can Leclerc follow him through? It doesn't look like it. And all the while now, Hamilton is fully closed up. As we go on to the second last lap of the Grand Prix, it's Russell from Albon, Norris, Ocon, Piastri, Leclerc and Hamilton still 6 and 7 together. Pretty much nose to tails they get to some of these brake zones, and Hamilton is just applying the pressure. But we're into the dying stages of this race, into the dying stages of this season. Year number 4 for Lewis Hamilton, driving for Ferrari. They're level on points, remember, so Hamilton has to overtake Leclerc. Let's see. Leclerc now maybe doesn't have DRS. He doesn't have DRS now off Ocon. And there goes Lewis Hamilton. They're going to be side by side. Leclerc defends the inside. They make a bit of contact. It's going to be side by side through the exit of the chicane. And this is wonderful stuff. Leclerc actually manages to out-traction Hamilton. They're still going at it, but Hamilton has the second bite of the cherry. He has that second DRS zone, and he gets ahead of Charles Leclerc to get up into P6. Could that be the nail in the coffin for Leclerc? Could that be adulation for Lewis Hamilton as we come to the last lap of the Grand Prix? And Leclerc has not managed to apply the pressure in either of the DRS zones, and there's only one final sector to go. It's taken 4 years of driving for Scuderia Ferrari, but Lewis Hamilton is coming through the final few corners to win a championship in red, to win a championship for the Tifosi, and to win his 8th F1 World Championship. Lewis Hamilton, champion of the world.
Get in there, Lewis. What a way to do it, mate.
Thank you so much, guys.
So in total, in this 4-year stint driving for Ferrari, Lewis Hamilton has managed to bag 5 race wins, 6 second places, and 4 third places, and 1 Drivers' World Championship. Guys, if you have enjoyed the video, hit the like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. Let me know if you got anywhere near close with your prediction at the start of the video of how many trophies he would be winning for Ferrari. If you're new around here, get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.